has Texas listed as hostile and said, you know, we're practicing covert tactics and weapons to create an environment of subversion or intimidation. We've got the general long-term goals of coercive or subversive that are to a political party, and here's the map where you're considered to be the hostiles. Do you think that they would approve that? I mean, maybe they would, but I mean, that would be pretty unsettling. And if people understood what unconventional warfare is, it would be unsettling. But people don't bother to even look at what the military is talking about when they talk about unconventional warfare.
No, it's a surface level understanding. They don't even scratch below the surface, and it's just, you know, rah, 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 we must support the US military. And then even in that clip you played, you know, he's obviously trying to associate the US Army with the venerable historical example of the French resistance. But as he said, that's not how it works anymore.
No.
We advised, or the US government advised and funded the Ukrainian opposition, which was staffed by neo-Nazi paramilitaries, which overthrew a democratically elected government. So to compare what the US Army and the US government does now and compare it to, you know, the French resistance who fought the Nazis is completely hypocritical. You know, the US government supported the radical jihadists in Libya to overthrow that government, which led to complete disaster throughout the region and the rise of ISIS. So really to make that connection between, you know, supporting the French resistance to what we do now is completely asinine.
Yeah, it's totally a psyop. And you remember that when we started reporting on this, that Joe Biggs got a email from a friend of his, now works for SOCOM. He says, shut up, you're going to ruin the psyop. Well, of course, that's what unconventional warfare largely is. Going on with this Wikipedia article, for example, which again is drawn from Pentagon documents. They say unconventional warfare targets civilian population psychologically to win the hearts and minds. It only targets military and political bodies directly, seeking to render the military proficiency of the enemy irrelevant. Limited conventional warfare can be used unconventionally or to demonstrate might and power. So how are they going to demonstrate their might and power? How are they going to use this psyop on the people here in Texas? Let's play that clip where they were talking about who to hit, and he kind of describes what they're going to be doing.
To put unconventional warfare into a perspective, you see it a couple different places up there, unconventional warfare, and I'll explain that from a historical perspective. So
that's the answer. Hang on, that's the unconventional warfare. Let's go to the one who to hit.
Coming in, doing the hit, and extracting. Time on ground would be maybe 15 to 20 minutes of exposure, then that's it. Then they're gone.
Can we recommend some places to you to hit?
You know, every county that we have briefed has done that for us also.
Or maybe places are people.
Yeah, there you go. So he says they're going to be popping in and popping out, just going to be a few minutes there. You know, let's pick up the Texans that are on the red list or the blue list. And then you got a politician there saying, can we suggest some people or places to hit? And he says, yeah. Everybody says that when we give this presentation. There you go. Paul, your comment.
It's amazing. And, you know, again, it has to be backed up by this history, which we've documented over the past, you know, Alex has done it for 20 years. In this article on InfoWars, I go back probably 10, 11 years to things such as the 2006 pastor training program, which FEMA ran, which acclimatized people to follow the herd, to obey the religious representatives in the community when the government declares martial law. For over a year afterwards, we were called conspiracy theorists, paranoid right-wing lunatics, just as we are being called now, for even talking about that, because I think it was Alex's family members and people that called into the show that blew the whistle on that. Over a year later, the mainstream news station reported on it, and Alex has played that clip numerous times, confirming that this indeed was a program to recruit religious representatives in communities across America to force people to obey martial law dictates during civil emergency conditions in the United States. So again, we were proven right.
And of course, to identify
paranoid lunatics at the time. A year later, it's confirmed by the mainstream media.
That's right, Paul. And of course, as Alex has pointed out, to identify the people who are going to be willing participants to work with them. Just roll it out as some kind of an emergency operation as opposed to a martial law. And of course, that's one of the objectives of unconventional warfare, to train, equip, and advise locals who seek regime change. That's it, seek regime change. So, yeah, can we suggest for you some people and places to hit? That's the way they joke about it. Walking right along the same page with these people. It is very disturbing to see this happen. It is very disturbing to see them increasing the militarization of the police, increasingly using the military and training the military here in CONUS and continental United States. This is what we're concerned about. And many people are starting to see this. It isn't just people on the left or on the right or libertarians. Everybody is starting to see this militarization that we've been talking about for a very long time, that Alex Jones has done documentaries about police state America for a very long time. This is how it breaks down. It is a creeping fascism. Stay with us. We're going to be right back with Paul Joseph Watson. We're going to continue to break down Operation Jade Helm.
This hour brought to you by InfidelBodyArmor.com. When it hits the fan, don't be left without the body armor that will save your life. With prices starting at just $374.99 and ships free. Get yours at InfidelBodyArmor.com. Just won't quit.
Hi, Ted Anderson with Midas Resources. Is it time to convert paper 401ks and IRAs to solid gold and silver yet? Get our 10 Reasons book free. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
Hey, Boomer! I learned in school today that 60% of our bodies are made of water. Good thing we have the Berkey system. It's the cleanest, best water ever. Mom says it's because the Berkey's filtration system cleans out the bad stuff and leaves only pure, delicious water. I know, right? You love it too. Yeah, I'm thirsty too. Let's go get some. Get Berkey clean water by calling 877-886-3653. That's 877-886-3653. Or visit GoBerkey.com.
Hi folks, Alex Jones here with some important information. I want to tell you about Matt Redhawk and his team of patriots over at My Patriot Supply. Several years ago, Matt was sitting in his 2-bedroom apartment, frustrated with the direction this country was headed and the charlatans willing to sell us out for a quick buck. Deciding to take action, a company run by patriots for patriots was born. My Patriot Supply has never taken a loan or accepted outside funding. They now operate 2 distribution facilities and employ over 50 hardworking American men and women. It is rare to find companies who practice what they preach. And that's why I stock my pantry with high-quality storable foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Alex today for special offers on emergency food storage, or call their preparedness specialist at 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Do business with someone who shares your values. mypatriotsupply.com/Alex.
Usually, the older one gets, the less you are able to absorb amino acids and the less you are able to repair the 100 trillion cells of your body. As a result, you'll have less energy, your tissues will shrink, and you'll become wrinkled. An older person will typically injure more easily and heal more slowly. Not fun. However, if you can consume a protein powder that is easier to absorb, then you may be able to gain back some strength, muscle, and speed of recovery. One World Whey is a highly digestible whey protein powder that may be the perfect answer for you.
My name is Errol. I'm 74 years old. You know, the taste of One World Whey is amazing. I play pickleball, and since taking One World Whey and your trace mineral supplement, I have more energy and recover faster from my working out. I used to take another grass-fed whey protein powder, but now I'm getting much better results using One World Whey.
Call 888-988-3325. That's 888-988-3325. Or visit oneworldway.com.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, and joining me from the UK is Paul Joseph Watson. And of course, there's the article on Infowars.com that's put together by Paul and Alex Jones breaking down what the writer from Gawker very accurately termed a creeping fascism. Beyond denial, preparations for martial law in America. The federal government and the U.S. Army have been readying for domestic unrest for decades, and preparations are accelerating exponentially. That's the point. That's what we're saying. And, of course, they're creating a straw man and saying, well, InfoWars is saying that there's going to be martial law breaking out in this summer. We never said that. We never said that. That's a straw man that they created so they could then pull that apart very easily. No, this is something that has been developing for quite some time. It was disturbing enough last year to walk through the streets of a replica American city where they were training to take it over with military as well as law enforcement. That's where they train for that. They don't need to do that if they're training for a foreign war. When you look at these burned out shells of buildings, that's the kind of warfare they could easily train for in a desert environment for where they would be fighting in the Middle East. But of course, they tell us that the enemy, and this is why the people on the right who love to back this up all think it's for the Muslims abroad. So they're all for it. No, this is for you. You just don't realize it. It's just a beard. And so this is an article that Paul Joseph Watson has put together with Alex Jones. Take a look at this. Pass this around, especially if you know somebody that is in the military, in law enforcement. Show them this article. That's what they need to understand is the background behind this, how this has been building for a very long time. And it becomes more and more obvious with every exercise that they do. Paul, you talked about in one of the articles that you've got in here is the Pentagon. This is back in 2008, for example. There's so many of these things that we could pick up here. Here's just one. Pentagon to detail troops to bolster domestic security. Now, back in 2008, they were saying that by 2011, they would have 20,000 uniformed troops inside the U.S. trained to help state and local officials respond to a nuclear terrorist attack or other domestic catastrophes. So we see this convergence of the military and of law enforcement, very troubling to anybody who understands history.
Exactly, and actually, a couple of years after that, in February 2013, the Department of Defense, and this is also in the article, issued a, quote, instruction which altered the U.S. code applying to the military's involvement in domestic law enforcement, which basically they gave themselves permission to, quote, quell civil disturbances domestically without presidential authorization. So again, completely overriding posse comitatus. And then you have things stretching back to the 60s, Operation Garden Plot. This was a Department of Defense civil disturbance plan to deal with expected racial unrest in America in the 1960s. Of course, since Ferguson last year, we've seen that build up primarily as a result of the Holder Justice Department and the Obama administration fueling it. They had that plan in place to deal with civil disturbance, domestic unrest. They also had Rex 84, which was based around an influx of illegal aliens, but eventually geared towards locking up dissidents within the United States. So all of these programs have domestic applications, and this is partly what the Army is training for. They're expecting widespread unrest in America.
And then, of course, they spin it and they say, well, your training is not a violation of posse comitatus. And it's like, no, but you are training to violate posse comitatus. You're training for martial law. That's the problem. Stay with us. We're going to be right back talking to Paul Joseph Watson about Operation Jade Helm. This is very important. Get this information out. You'll see it on Infowars.com. Beyond denial, preparations for martial law in America. Send that to everyone you know. We'll be right back.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Using unparalleled research in the development of a synergistic formulation based around the key concepts of super oxygenation, the next level in cleansing is here. With key ingredients backed by real clinical studies, the new Oxy Powder, available through InfoWars Life, was invented during Dr. Group's research on the toxification of our bodies. Many herbal colon cleansers are harsh on the body and contain cheap and potentially dangerous ingredients, oftentimes full of synthetic fillers, GMOs, additives, or worse. Gently start cleaning your body with easy capsules that start working while you sleep. Oxy Powder does not require time off work, and there's no need for bad-tasting concoctions. Instead, Oxy Powder slowly releases monoatomic oxygen into the intestinal tract and body. Experience the astonishing cleansing power of superoxide and ozonide technology. Go to InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com to get started with Oxy Powder, or call 1-888-253-3139.